November 24, 1971. Thanksgiving Eve. A man in a business suit calmly hijacked a Boeing 727, extorted $200,000, strapped on a parachute, and jumped into a freezing rainstorm at 10,000 feet. He was never seen again. No body. No parachute. No money. This is the only unsolved airplane hijacking in American history, and the man who did it became a legend. This is the mystery of D.B. Cooper. Welcome to Black Box Secrets. I'm your host, and today we're investigating one of the most audacious crimes ever committed in aviation history. This isn't just a hijacking story. This is about a man who outsmarted the FBI, disappeared without a trace, and became an American folk hero. For over 50 years, investigators, amateur sleuths, and conspiracy theorists have tried to answer one question: who was D.B. Cooper, and did he survive? Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to Black Box Secrets and hit that notification bell. We uncover aviation's darkest mysteries every single week. It was the day before Thanksgiving, 1971. Portland International Airport was busy with holiday travelers. Among them was a man in his mid-40s wearing a dark business suit, white shirt, narrow black tie, and dark sunglasses. He carried a briefcase and a brown paper bag. He purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper for $20. Nobody gave him a second look. He was just another businessman heading home for the holiday. At 2:50 p.m., Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 pushed back from the gate. It was a Boeing 727 with 36 passengers and 6 crew members aboard. The flight was scheduled to take just 30 minutes. The man calling himself Dan Cooper took a seat in the rear of the aircraft, 18E, near the back stairs. He ordered a bourbon and soda, lit a cigarette, and waited. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. She initially thought it was just another passenger trying to flirt with her, so she tucked it into her pocket without reading it. But then Cooper leaned close and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Florence's blood ran cold. She opened the note. Written in neat, all-capital letters, it read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked." Cooper opened his briefcase just enough for Florence to peek inside. She saw red cylinders, wires, and a large battery. It looked exactly like a bomb. Her training kicked in. Stay calm. Do what he says. Keep the passengers safe. Cooper's demands were specific and professional. He wanted $200,000 in $20 bills for parachutes and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. The note was polite but firm: comply, and nobody gets hurt. Florence relayed the message to the cockpit. Captain William Scott immediately radioed Seattle. Within minutes, the FBI was involved, and the Boeing 727 entered a holding pattern over Puget Sound while authorities scrambled to meet Cooper's demands. What happened next was extraordinary. Northwest Orient Airlines President Donald Nyrop personally approved the ransom payment. Banks were closed for the holiday, but Seattle First National Bank opened its vault. FBI agents photographed every single $20 bill, recording the serial numbers. Meanwhile, the Seattle Police Department gathered 4 parachutes from a local skydiving school, 2 primary chutes, and 2 reserve chutes. By 5:24 p.m., everything was ready. Flight 305 landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Cooper allowed all 36 passengers to deplane, keeping only the flight crew as insurance. A Northwest Orient employee delivered the money and parachutes to the aircraft stairs. Cooper examined everything carefully, like a professional evaluating equipment. He seemed satisfied. Cooper's next instructions shocked everyone. He wanted the plane refueled and flown to Mexico City, but with very specific flight parameters: fly below 10,000 feet, keep the speed under 200 knots, use minimal flap settings, and leave the rear stairs down. The flight crew tried to explain this was dangerous and would require a refueling stop in Reno, Nevada. Cooper agreed. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off again, this time with only Cooper and the crew aboard. 2 F-106 fighter jets scrambled to follow the Boeing 727, but in the darkness and cloud cover, they struggled to maintain visual contact. Cooper ordered everyone into the cockpit and locked the door behind them. Somewhere over the wilderness of southwestern Washington, on a cold, rainy night with zero visibility and a wind chill well below freezing, D.B. Cooper did the unthinkable. He tied the money bag to his body, strapped on a parachute, lowered the rear stairs, and jumped into the darkness at 10,000 feet, traveling at approximately 200 miles per hour, in a rainstorm, at night, over dense forest and mountainous terrain. The crew felt a sudden change in air pressure at 8:13 p.m. The tail of the aircraft shifted upward slightly. Cooper was gone. When Flight 305 landed in Reno at 10:15 p.m., law enforcement swarmed the plane. They found Cooper's tie clip, 8 cigarette butts, 2 of the 4 parachutes, and instructions he'd written. But no Dan Cooper. No money. No sign of where he'd landed. The largest manhunt in FBI history began immediately. The FBI threw everything at this case. They interviewed hundreds of witnesses, analyzed every clue, and launched massive ground searches of the projected jump zone. Helicopters, tracking dogs, and ground teams combed through the dense forests of southwestern Washington. They found nothing. The parachute Cooper chose told investigators something important. He took a military-style NB-6 parachute, not the sport parachute. This suggested he might have military training. But he also left behind the better reserve chute and took one that had been sewn shut for training purposes. This suggested he might not be an expert. Forensic analysis of the evidence provided some clues. Cooper's fingerprints were nowhere to be found. He'd likely worn gloves or been extremely careful. The tie was a cheap clip-on from JCPenney. The tie clip had a pearl logo, later traced to a specific manufacturer. Microscopic analysis of particles on the tie revealed titanium and other rare metals, suggesting Cooper might have worked in aerospace, chemical, or metal industries. But the biggest clue wouldn't surface for nearly 9 years. In February 1980, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was digging in the sand along the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington, about 20 miles downstream from Cooper's suspected jump zone. He uncovered 3 packets of $20 bills, badly decomposed but still bundled with rubber bands. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom money. This discovery changed everything. It proved Cooper, or at least the money, had ended up in or near the Columbia River. But how? Did Cooper land in the river and drown? Did he bury the money? Did the current wash it there from somewhere else? The FBI had more questions than answers. Only $5,880 of the $200,000 has ever been recovered. The remaining $194,120 has never surfaced. If Cooper survived and spent the money, why hasn't a single marked bill appeared in circulation in over 50 years? Banks, businesses, and collectors have been watching for those serial numbers since 1971. Over the decades, the FBI investigated more than 800 suspects. Some seemed incredibly promising. Others were clearly desperate attempts by people seeking fame or closure. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. hijacked a United Airlines flight just 5 months after Cooper, using an almost identical method. He successfully parachuted with $500,000 and was later caught. Many investigators believe McCoy was Cooper, but there were problems. McCoy was in his late 20s. Cooper was described as mid-40s. McCoy was Mormon and didn't drink. Cooper ordered bourbon. McCoy was killed in a shootout with FBI agents in 1974, taking his secrets with him. Dwayne Weber confessed to his wife on his deathbed in 1995, "I am Dan Cooper." He had skydiving experience, was the right age, and had been in the area at the time. His wife found a Northwest Orient ticket stub in his belongings. But the FBI found no conclusive evidence linking him to the crime. Kenneth Christensen was a Northwest Orient employee, a paratrooper in World War II, matched the physical description, and suddenly had unexplained money after 1971. His brother was convinced Kenneth was Cooper. But DNA evidence didn't match. Robert Rackstraw was an Army veteran, pilot, and explosives expert with a criminal history. He matched the composite sketch eerily well and had the skills to pull off the heist. Some investigators believe he's the strongest suspect, but Rackstraw denied it until his death in 2019. The truth is, nobody knows for certain. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, citing a need to focus resources on more pressing matters. But they left the door open. If anyone finds the parachute or significant portions of the ransom money, they'll reopen the investigation. This is the question that has haunted investigators and fascinated the public for over 5 decades. Could anyone survive that jump? The evidence for survival is compelling. Cooper seemed knowledgeable about aircraft and parachutes. He chose the rear stairs specifically because they could be opened in flight. He specified flight parameters that would make a jump survivable. He wore a business suit, which some believe hid a jumpsuit underneath. And most importantly, only a tiny fraction of the money has ever been found. But the evidence against survival is equally strong. Cooper jumped at night, in a rainstorm, with zero visibility, over dense forest and mountainous terrain. The wind chill was far below freezing. He wore loafers, not boots. He had no helmet, no protective gear, no way to navigate in the darkness. Expert skydivers have called the jump suicidal. The military parachute he chose required specific techniques to deploy properly. Additionally, the money found in 1980 showed no signs of being buried intentionally. It looked like it had been underwater and washed up naturally. If Cooper survived, why would money from his ransom end up in the Columbia River? Some experts believe Cooper hit the ground too hard, died on impact, and his body was simply never found in the vast wilderness. Others think he landed in the Columbia River, drowned, and his body was swept out to sea. The remaining money could be hidden, destroyed, or lost forever in the forest. Regardless of what really happened, D.B. Cooper became an American legend. He's been featured in dozens of books, movies, and TV shows. Songs have been written about him. There's an annual D.B. Cooper Days festival in Washington. He represents something Americans find irresistible, the clever underdog who beat the system. Cooper was polite, even courteous, during the hijacking. He didn't hurt anyone. He thanked the flight attendants. He seemed more like a gentleman thief from a movie than a violent criminal. In the 1970s, during an era of distrust in government and corporations, Cooper became a folk hero. So what really happened to D.B. Cooper? Did he die in that freezing forest, his body claimed by nature? Did he land safely, hide the money, and live out his days as an ordinary citizen, taking his secret to the grave? Or is he still out there somewhere, an old man with an incredible story he can never tell? The answer may be buried in the forests of Washington, dissolved in the waters of the Columbia River, or locked away in someone's memory. We may never know the truth, but the legend will live forever. Somewhere out there, hidden in trees or earth or water, lies the rest of D.B. Cooper's ransom money. And maybe, just maybe, we'll find it someday. Until then, the mystery remains unsolved. What's your theory? Did D.B. Cooper survive the jump? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more unsolved aviation mysteries, subscribe to Black Box Secrets and turn on notifications. We're uncovering the secrets the black boxes can't reveal every single week. Thanks for watching, and remember, some mysteries refuse to be solved.